What's going on out there, social media land? Dustin Sherman coming at you. So, just got done watching the Young Republicans date night, where they debate night, not date night, debate night, with Bill Evans, Mike Robbins, and Dave Bronson. Just wanted to kind of come on and give my thoughts a little bit on some of it. Um, Overall, I thought it was okay. They had some audio and visual problems, some audio and video issues, and let's see here. The green screen moved a little bit. My cats must be down here. Yeah, I think that the debate itself was actually pretty good. I think that for the first one that they've ever held, I think it went okay. I think that the candidates did the best that they could to convince new people to vote for them. I have decided that I'm going to back Dave Bronson. I think a few people that I know here in town know that that's where I was kind of leaning. I like Dave. I actually like Mike. I went with Dave because, he's, and nothing against Mike. I would never vote for Bill just because our values don't match. I went with Dave because I believe that he is somebody I could hang out with, have a beer. I could go out and go fishing, hunting with. He's the kind of person that I would hang around, I think, over anyone else. I think he's got the same values that I have. And again, it's nothing against Mike. I like Mike. I think Mike's a great guy. I think I like Dave's vision better right now for Anchorage. So that's where I'm going. So I think that they all had good answers. I think that as we progress into the get closer to the actual election, I think we're going to start to see from both sides. I think we're going to start to see a little bit of mudslinging. We've seen a little bit of that toward the end of the the debate tonight. So I think that things are going to start amping up a little bit. I think Dave stayed out of the mudslinging a little bit. I think there was a little bit back and forth. There were some comments that I kind of noticed were a little bit risky on Evans and Robbins' parts. And I think some other people noticed them as well. But overall, I don't think that this debate really changed or shaped anybody's minds as far as who they were going to vote for. I think the people that watched this, I think, had already had their mind made up who they were going to vote for. I think that's, I don't know if it swayed anybody one way or the other. I think that having them on the same stage and having them debating each other, now this is at least the second or third time I've seen one of their debates. The first one that I watched was a full debate. It had a bunch of the candidates on both sides on it. And the one thing I noticed, and this is the one thing I want people out there to understand, is I think that Dunbar really looks at Bronson as the biggest threat. And the reason I say that is because that's the only guy that he keeps attacking. So if it's pretty obvious that the only threat that's out there that's being attacked is Bronson, that's probably his biggest threat. So that's where I'm looking. I'm looking for Bronson right now. I mean, if he doesn't get through and somehow Robbins gets through, he's got my vote. I don't know if I could pull the trigger for Evans. I'll be honest with you. I just don't think I could do it. Just because some of his stances and stuff that he's had in the past, he's been in like 3 or 4 different parties, independent, Republican, Democrat, back to Republican, independent, whatever. I can't stand someone that does that. Make up your mind, stick with your values, and stay with what you got. I think Dave has probably pretty much done that. He's shown that in his character. I think that, like I said, I like all those guys. I will tell you this: I have met and talked to both Mike and Dave. And when I was sick with COVID, my wife was sick with COVID. The one guy who reached out to check on us was Dave. I mean, if that tells you, and I'm a nobody, but to Dave, I'm somebody, and that means a lot to me. So that may be part of my deciding factor, but I like Dave. I think he's a good guy. I think that the people that are behind him, I think they've chosen well, and I think that that's the guy that I think could really change the city and make it better for for everybody in it. So I like his idea on the homeless situation. I like the fact that he is compassionate. I like the fact that he doesn't see them as a number. I like the fact that he wants to help them. That's huge, and that's a big big advantage over some of the others. So, and the funny thing is the last debate that I watched Dunbar in, he he had the same stance as some of the Republicans. But I tell you right now, he's the farthest from being a Republican out there. He's the staunchest leftist that you'd ever see. So, if you're wanting to vote for something that's grassroots, that's being built from the ground up, I think, and I think it's going to be Bronson. I really do. Again, I don't think that I don't want anyone to think that I don't like Mike. I think I like Mike a lot. But I think that, I don't know, I Bronson's the kind of guy that I think that, I don't think Bronson's going to forget his friends whenever he gets in there. I'll say that he's going to recognize the people who got him there. And I know a mayor is supposed to get in there and do business and make the city right, but I don't think he's going to forget who got him there. And I think that's huge. So, yeah, I've got his back. I have honestly, I have donated to 2 different campaigns. His is one, Mike is the other. And that was toward the beginning. And I have settled on Dave. So at the time, I wasn't real sure who I was going to donate to. And, going to their respective fundraisers, I've decided that it's Dave. So I think that if he gets in there, I think that he'll help in his own way, help build the assembly back to where it should be, at least balanced. I don't think that the assembly honestly should be heavy right or heavy left. I think it should be balanced. And I wouldn't even mind having a couple independents in there. And you have real independents. I'm talking real independents, not people that say that they're independent and then they they go far left. I think that that's something that balance is what we need. We don't need one way or the other. We need balance. We need healthy debate. That's what the country was founded on. I've said that many times. We have to have a healthy debate to get things done. Because I'll tell you right now, you have to have healthy debate in order to get things done. And there may be some ideas on the right that may be better than the ideas on the left, and vice versa. I'll be honest with you right now. I'm the kind of person that can work with somebody on the left as long as they're not insane. As long as they have the same drive and compassion that I have, I'll work with somebody. Politically, we may not line up, but as long as we come to the same agreements on certain things, I'll work with somebody. I've got no problem with that. I think that when you get into politics or when you get into a position like the assembly, I think you have to. And if you can't, then you don't belong there. And I think that whoever, whether it's, I'll be honest with you, Mike or Dave, gets in there, I hope they're willing to help conservative candidates run for assembly, because I think they're going to need it. Right now, it doesn't matter who ends up winning the mayor's race. They're going to have a solid left assembly that they're going to have to deal with. So yeah, this is the first step, is the race in April. And hopefully we end up getting a conservative mayor once that time comes. I tell you right now, we sure as hell deserve it. Well, let me see who all's watching real quick. If I got anybody on. I got anybody on tonight? Oh, we got 5 or 6 people on. Yeah, I think it's time to settle. So, Bill Evans didn't sway me at all. I don't think that that's the route that anyone, or that we should go here in Anchorage, personally. He brought up the bridge to nowhere again. And, maybe there needs to be a bridge, but I'll tell you right now, Scott Stansberry, Yeah, so so there was roughly 200 people watching on Zoom from the debate. They had some audio and visual problems. I think their internet was really bad there. Uh, so Scott comments on my video on Facebook. Your video sounds better than the debate. I hope so. Um, so they had some technical difficulties, but I think that you're either trying to use Wi-Fi or they weren't wired. I'm not sure, but one of their mics was getting low. Robbins, you could hardly hear him for half of it. The host, you could really hear the host. He was really loud. Evans was probably the best audio, and then um, Bronson was pretty good. The problem was every time it went to a candidate to answer questions, it cut out for 20, 30 seconds. So, unfortunately, that's what we were dealing with the technology that we're using. There was a lot of people that were there live. They had pre-sold tickets, and they were sold out. So most of the viewership was on Zoom. Unfortunately, with Zoom and technology, you're kind of stuck with what you get. And I did live stream it. I wanted people to be able to see it that couldn't jump on Zoom or whatever. It's quick. It's easier to see things on Facebook than it is signing into Zoom anyway. So I live streamed it and I recorded it. So if anybody needs it down the road, I do have it recorded, and they want to watch it, I have it recorded. So I'll tell you right now, debates are interesting because you do get a multitude of different answers. And what I liked about this debate was not everybody needed to make a rebuttal, and those who didn't think if they needed to didn't. They didn't overextend their time. They didn't fight. It was overall, it was a pretty good debate. And I think for the Alaska Young Republicans, I think they did a good job for their first one. I think that this will be a learning experience for them, and they'll be able to put on a really good one next time. So they know what they have to look for, and go from there. Sean Ryan says, I missed the debate because I was getting ready to leave next week. Don't believe much has been said about voting with your feet and lasting effects therein. Yeah. That's the one thing. And the cool thing about the debate was I found out that there's someone else here in District 6 that's going to be running for assembly, which is really nice. Someone I can get behind and work. What? Scott says, Dustin, would you like to respond to that question? Falls over laughing. No, thank you, host. I will answer what I want when I want. Besides, who made you host? Hey, Sean, it's good to see you, man. Where are you going to, Sean? You said you're leaving. You're packing up and leaving. So, kind of curious as to where you're headed. No, I think it was a good debate. I think it would have been a lot better live. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there, but life gets in the way. But I was able to attend it from home. So, seen a lot of familiar faces. A lot of familiar names. Didn't really see too many faces on there except for those that were debating. So, I see a few people on here: Robbie Hunt, Anthony Lucy, Lauren Burgess, Brandy Odom. I was looking through old newspapers for any clippings to say. Forgot that Weddleton ran unopposed. Yeah, he did. He ran unopposed. In fact, the person that wants to run against him in District 6 is looking forward to it. And if I can possibly help him run, I will. I think Weddleton probably has some pretty deep pockets and some donors that will probably throw money toward him. Oh, well, congratulations, Sean. I think the weather will be out there a little bit nicer for you. Hope everything's looking up out there. I think that'll be a good trip for you. Well, we're gonna miss you here, man. We'll be miss seeing you. It was always good to see you at the assembly and at our events, and we appreciate you coming out and supporting them. That sucks. We're losing you, man. So for those that don't know Sean, he's been kind of a steady face at a lot of me and Sarah's events, and pops in, and he's always got a good smile on his face, and he's always willing to go out there and put in the work. So we appreciate that. Yeah, Scott, I agree. Dunbar and Peterson must go. The good thing about Peterson is he's on his last term, so we're definitely going to need someone to fill that gap. Yeah, I think that for me, I think, and Bronson may not be for everybody. I think he's for me because he stands for my values. I can't tell someone else who to vote for, and I'll never do that. I think that's your choice. I think it's up to you to do your own research on the candidate. It's your job to talk to the candidate and see how you gel with them and their values. Um, I like I said, I like Dave. He's kind of like a guy that I would have grown up with, and could have gone fishing, went hunting with, sit down, had a beer with, sat around a fire with. That's to me, that's Bronson. I mean, I like Dave. Again, he was the only one that checked on us while we were sick with COVID. In fact, he went through it not long after I did, and I did the same thing, was checking on him and his wife, and luckily we all got through it fine. And I think we're better off for it. I think we're stronger for it. And I think that conservatives have to stick together. And I think that Dave's the guy. Now, if it comes up to it and he's not, I'll support the next best conservative candidate. And I'm hoping that it's Dave, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, just kind of wanted to come on and see what everybody else thought of the debate that watched. And I know not everybody was on there, but I know that there was quite a few. There was at least a couple hundred on the Zoom. And I think, like I said, I think for the first one, the young Republicans did well. I think the host and the MC did pretty good. I think that the room, and I'd like to actually thank the people who allowed the debate to happen. I think that was a great thing to happen. Yeah, Joyce, I agree. I agree. They didn't openly attack one another. That's a bonus. I think that toward the end, I think that there were some comments that could have probably been avoided, but it is what it is. I think there was some baiting going on, and for the most part, none of them really took the bait. So I think Bronson had some mic drop moments. I think that he didn't have to rebut, and he didn't, and he was smart for doing that. I think that showed that he was pretty secure in his thoughts, and I think it showed that he was pretty secure in his actions, and he was pretty happy with what he said and how it came out. So that's a plus. It's about all I got. I mean, here in Anchorage right now, the assembly meeting that we had last night, wasn't anything major. There was a few things that got resolved. I think they're going to stop doing the testing on the hockey teams, which is a good thing. Because it seems like to me, helping out Louis Imbriani and everything else, they were targeted. It sounded like almost. That was the only sporting thing that they were doing besides wrestling, where they were testing prior to competition. And the bowling alley, we don't get tested. That's adults for one, and two, people that come into my establishment understand that COVID's out there, and if they come in, they're obviously not afraid of it. And honestly, I think there's maybe been 3 people that have come into our bowling center that has caught COVID, and whenever they were diagnosed, they didn't come in. They stayed quarantined and did what they had to do to get out of it. I had one employee besides myself that came down with it, and we stayed out of there for the entire 2 weeks, I believe. So we did not pass it on. Yeah, Joyce, I think Bronson and Evans did go back and forth a little bit, especially at the end. There was a couple comments that got some chuckles out of the crowd. Yeah, Scott. It's amazing what happens in a Republican debate. Things tend to be respectful. Now, that being said, the last debate that I got to watch, where everybody, all the candidates were involved, was not respectful. Dunbar made kind of an ass out of himself in that debate. And again, he's the only person he's attacking is Bronson. So that tells me that Bronson is the one to watch. I think he's the one guy that can beat. He's the threat to Dunbar. And I think it's kind of obvious right now. So, well, that's about all I got. I just wanted to come on for a minute. I haven't been on in a while. I wanted to kind of test it out, make sure everything's still working, and apparently it is. I do want to start doing these a little more often. I've said that like 5 times now. I'm still not really doing consistent, but I'd like to find a way to actually do a real podcast instead of just video blog. I'd like to actually do a real podcast and get out there and and do stuff like that and have guests on and have a good time doing it and talk about all kinds of different things. One thing I think that Alaska needs to do with all the gun laws and crap that's coming on in Washington that they're trying to push through, I think that right now would be a very, very good time to have Alaska or Anchorage become a sanctuary city or state for guns. I think it's time that this state, obviously you can't go out and go hiking without a rifle or a pistol here. So trying to ban guns here would be really stupid. But I think that we need to basically declare it. I think that having Alaska be a sanctuary state for guns would be a great idea. Well, Brandy, I almost can probably guarantee you that it was either the mayor or it was probably the guy that Louis mentioned last night, the union guy. I think that the testing, if you've noticed, the testing has dropped like massively since November. Testing in the city has just disappeared. I mean, hardly anyone I know is getting tested unless they're sick. But back in November, they were trying to get everybody to test, and there was pop-up sites everywhere. When you go to the assembly, there was freaking 40 cars sitting there in the library to get tested. I know when I went and got tested, I had to wait almost an hour before I could get my swab done. But now you go in there and you might see one car if you're lucky. And, we're paying, the taxpayers are paying these people to test. Meanwhile, they're occupying that little van sitting out there by the assembly for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. And we're paying for them, and they're not having that many people go through there. The pop-up testing sites are disappearing. In fact, now I don't think that they're having them test. They're wanting them to, but they're not having them test when they fly into Alaska now. So, I thought that was you, Jim. I wanted to make sure. That's why I kept saying Joyce. Last night I only saw one car at the. Yeah, I mean it's the truth. They've cut the testing down, and it's either they've cut it down or the people have just wised up and just said, you know what, I don't feel sick. I'm not going to go get tested, and I think that's the way it should be. When in history have we had people going in getting tested that weren't sick? It's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. When I went and got tested, I didn't feel sick. I went in because my wife had gotten sick, and I got tested. And the day that the test come back positive, I started getting a headache. And 2 days later, it was pretty obvious I had it. And then 4 days later, I was in the ER. And 5 days later, I was recovering. And the day that I started getting better was the day that Angela started getting out of the hospital. So, or she was just about done. So, it does last a while, and it can make you pretty sick. But we knew the risks, and we did what we did, and we were still going to the assembly, and that's where ultimately we caught it. But it is what it is, and we weren't scared of it. We might be a little bit more cautious now than what we were before. But, ultimately, I think that if we catch it again, we at least know what to expect. And, I honestly had no idea exactly what to do. And luckily everything worked out for us. So, and I know that a few other friends of mine have gotten it and gotten through it, no problem. A few never even had symptoms. A few of them did. In fact, I still have friends that are going through it and still struggling to this day with different things that they experience. So, headaches, or they're just not quite right, or dizziness, things like that. So, that's good to hear, Krista, that it was just your husband, not everyone else. Dewey, man, I got to get back over there and get me one of them Sherman tank burgers. Dewey from Little Dipper Diner made a burger for me a month or so ago, and man, that was one of the best burgers I've eaten. It's an artery clogger, but man, it is good. I need to get back over and get me one of those. That was one of the coolest things. I think, I've gotten a lot of things over the years from doing the militia work and all that kind of stuff. People appreciate the work you put in, and they give you stuff, or they gift you things. And, doing the political stuff kind of can be a pain in the butt, but it's nice whenever somebody appreciates the work that you put in. And Dewey named a burger after me in his restaurant, and I had to go over and try it, of course, and man, I tell you what, that was one of the best things I've ever had in a long time. I need to get back over and get another one. It's one of those burgers though that you don't want to eat like every day, because it might take a month to get rid of all the cheese and all the goodiness. But I tell you what, it was tasty. It was one of the best meals I've had in a long time, and I actually bought 3 of them that day. It was me and 2 of my employees. We all had them. We all loved them. We all raved. And the funny thing is, we have a snack bar in our place, so I'd rather eat his burger than ours by any means. Love the hell out of it. So we appreciate that, Dewey. And there's several places here in town that have been really good stewards for the city. Little Dipper Diner, Kreiner's Diner, those guys, those owners, they are pure Anchorage, man. And I appreciate both of them. I appreciate all those business owners that haven't gone down the route of kissing the mayor's ass. I love that. I love someone sticking up for their freedom and their values, and those guys have done it. And we appreciate your hard work and sacrifice as well. So, yeah, exactly, Scott. Little Dipper rocks. And I think that Jim, you too, man. Jim comes to the assembly. He's on here. His name's Joyce on my feed. But Jim, he comes in there and he rails on the assembly. And last night was another good example of that. He came in there and he did Aladdin. He basically said the genie's out of the bottle, and you guys are not going to be able to put it back in there. And that's the truth. And Jim speaks the truth on everything, and he speaks eloquently, and speaks a hell of a lot better than I do when I go in there. I try and go in there with a little bit of levity. At the same time, it's not me making fun of them. It's me trying to, I don't know. I think that as Americans, I think that no matter how mad we get at somebody, I think that there's still something that can still pull us together. And I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm naive, but I still think that we're all born here, whether or not we agree on certain things or not. That's irrelevant. I think that I still look at those people sitting up there, whether they believe it or not. I still look at them as Americans. They were born here, and there has to be something we agree on. It may not be politics. It may be something else. And I think that that's what binds us together. And if I can find some kind of happy medium to where we can laugh at something, or we can agree on something, I think I've done my job. And last night, one of my testimonies was there was something about delivering alcohol and stuff out to cars and things like that. And I kind of made light of that a little bit, and actually got a good response from Chris Constant. I got some chuckles from the assembly too while I was at it. But I basically said, while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and start serving alcohol in here, because there's been a bunch of long nights, and I think we could all use some stiff drinks. And it was the truth. I think that no matter what, if I seen someone on the street, and if I seen any of them on the street, I'd tell them how I felt. But at the same time, I'd still be nice and cordial to them. I tell you right now, whether you believe it or not, the assembly job, the leadership job that's in the city, we don't agree with them, but that job's still not easy. And I'll tell you how I know that. Okay, so I've written a resolution that I'm putting forward in my community council tomorrow. It's not that easy to come up with ideas that other people might like and other people would support. And I try and do it to where, it's good for the city. I try and do it where it's where everybody can agree on it and where it doesn't have a chance of failing. I want it wastes my time if I write something up that I know is not going to go through. What's the purpose of it? All you're doing is showing that other side doesn't agree with you. So if I can write something up and have everybody agree with it, I've done my job. I think that that means that it's good for everybody. So if I run for assembly in 2023, I think that's my goal, is to try and, I don't want to make everybody happy, but I think that the biggest goal is to make the biggest percentage of people happy. And I think doing that, I think that I will have a successful run at the assembly if I can do that. Brandy, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think that we have some good candidates out there. I think that I'm hoping Dave pulls it out. He's the guy I'm going to be planning on voting for. So Dave Bronson, good job tonight. Actually, good job to all the candidates. I think you guys all did a pretty good job. Remember, we are Republicans. We try not to mudsling. Try and watch that out. Now, that being said, if they start throwing mud at you, game on, throw it back. Don't cower down and back into a corner and stay there. If they throw stuff at you, come back out. I was taught when I was a kid, if someone throws the first punch, you make sure you throw the last. And I mean that. Anyway, I'm going to get off, folks. I just wanted to come on for a minute. It looks like everything's working like it should. I've got, I had some time tonight. I figured I'd come on and play around with this a little bit. So if you get a chance to go on and watch the debate, if you didn't watch it, it is on my feed, and hope you enjoyed it. And we will catch you another time, hopefully at the assembly. We need to get more people at the assembly. Weddleton basically said if we, back in the summer, if we open it up, they'll just go away. Well, John, I hate to say this, but we ain't going anywhere, man. And for those out there who think that we're all Save Anchorage, I'm not Save Anchorage. I'm not even in that group. I'm not even allowed in that group. And several others are not in that group. So if you remember, whenever you lump everybody in together, it's a disservice to people. So, I may have some of the same values that Save Anchorage has, or some of the people in Save Anchorage has, but I'm not Save Anchorage. And whenever I say grassroots, I mean grassroots. And this is the people out here that are pushing. This is the blue collar people out here pushing for Dave Bronson to win. So, Dave Bronson, you got my vote, buddy. And hopefully you see this, and we'll go from there. But anyway, everybody have a great night, and I will catch up to you guys another time. And hopefully soon I'll be able to start doing this a little more regular, and be looking for. I have a team put together. We're going to be starting a website here very soon. It's actually being built at the moment. But be looking for an exciting new website coming out called Hot Rod Resumes. It's a new way to put a resume out for jobs. No one's doing this yet, and I'm not going to go into particulars until the website comes out. But be looking for that. And we actually have a Facebook page called Hot Rod Resumes. Check it out when you get a chance. Share, like it, and once the website comes out, you'll understand what it's about. But I'm going to get off. Peace out. Love y'all. Be good, and we will catch you another time.